Hi, I'm Dongsheng. Welcome to Digging into China, where we explore China in depth to reveal unique perspectives. Suddenly, the Chinese Communist Party has once again rolled out its rare earth export restrictions, reigniting trade tensions and sending ripples of concern through Wall Street. Why have rare earth emerged as a critical weapon in the CCP's trade war arsenal? The answer lies in their trading dynamics and unique properties. As an internationally traded commodity, rare earth lacks standard contracts, as their diverse nature makes uniform agreements challenging to establish. Rare earth encompasses a variety of scarce metals such as barium, strontium, and cerium oxide. Their trading volume is relatively small, which prevents the formation of large-scale commodity markets. Unlike precious metals like gold or silver, rare earths don't see the same level of industrial demand, often referred to as the vitamins of industry. They are not consumed in large quantities, but their absence is keenly felt. Take cerium oxide, for instance. Without it, achieving the nanoscale precision required for chip manufacturing becomes impossible. Thus, global demand for rare earth is both consistent and inflexible. Yet, their overall trading volume doesn't justify futures contracts. Moreover, rare earths aren't a single uniform product like gold, silver, copper, or iron, where exchanges can mandate 99% or 99.99% purity. Comprising 17 distinct elements, their composition varies unpredictably, making standardization elusive. However, future efforts toward standardization could be a viable path forward. This leads to a significant challenge. Without standardized contracts, industrial firms struggle to hedge prices on commodity markets, and the cost impact is minimal. For example, in the automotive sector, hedging may not even be necessary. In the Tesla Model 3, rare earth materials cost roughly 2,000 to 3,000 yuan, primarily used in permanent magnets, with consumption capped at 2 to 3 kilos. Hybrid vehicles use even less, around 1 to 2 kilos. Even a 50% spike in rare earth prices raises car production costs by only about 1%. Given their low usage and the absence of a standardized market, a unique supply model has emerged: direct point-to-point delivery. For chip makers like TSMC, rare earth costs are virtually negligible. In essence, downstream industries can absorb price increases with relative ease. To put it simply, they can tolerate high costs, but they cannot function without supply. The CCP's frequent use of rare earth as leverage reveals a dwindling set of options. The Chinese government has argued that international restrictions on its chip industry could accelerate domestic innovation. This isn't entirely baseless. Heavy investment can drive progress. The same logic applies to rare earth supply chains, where outcomes are far more predictable than in China's chip sector. Chip manufacturing is a highly intricate, globally collaborative system, representing the pinnacle of human technology. It spans over 30 major disciplines and, with the sub-disciplines, exceeds 50. The supply chain involves over 5,000 companies across more than 30 developed nations, with hundreds of thousands of patents. A 3-nanometer chip, for example, cannot be produced by any single country, not even the United States. In contrast, rare earth challenges center on 3 core issues. First is politics. As environmentalism's political weight diminishes, environmental concerns become a matter of cost. By investing in eco-friendly equipment and factoring those expenses into pricing, this issue can be resolved. Second is price. Can downstream firms accept elevated costs during industry consolidation? Third is capacity. Can supply remain stable? For downstream manufacturers who are generally well-funded, supply stability often outweighs price concerns. The CCP's strategy of creating supply instability is backfiring. Western companies, willing to pay premiums to relocate supply chains outside China, prioritize stability and security, making rare earth supply a corporate safety issue. The CCP's actions have placed the Chinese industries in a contradictory position. They publicly reject confrontation while escalating tensions in the South China Sea. They pledge greater openness and WTO compliance, such as liberalizing telecommunications, with the state media like People's Daily touting these commitments. Yet, these promises remain unfulfilled. They advocate for renminbi internationalization and global circulation while imposing strict foreign exchange controls. Recently, People's Daily published 7 editorials in succession, all proclaiming the bright prospects of China's economy. The Tacitus trap, public distrust in government actions, is becoming too small to contain the CCP. Their rhetoric and actions are so misaligned that one can almost assume the opposite of what they claim. Since this year, their messaging has grown even more overt, signaling a lack of viable tools. Facing widespread doubt, they resort to bold rhetoric, projecting strategic confidence while acting defensively. The rare earth card has been played repeatedly. In 2018, during Trump's first term, it was used as a threat, but Western nations largely dismissed it as posturing. They saw no competitive edge in producing rare earths, given high costs and stringent environmental regulations, and no one stepped up to challenge China's dominance. Now, with conservative leaders gaining ground globally, the political barriers to rare earth mining are diminishing. Post-COVID dynamics and Trump's tariff policies have spurred global efforts to relocate or rebuild supply chains. The CCP has eroded Western trust through 3 major blows. First, relegating the Sino-British Joint Declaration on Hong Kong to a historical document. Second, adopting aggressive wolf warrior diplomacy, with the foreign ministry antagonizing nations and provoking regional tensions. Third, posing global supply chain risks, prompting serious discussions about potential disruptions. Even Toyota, once a champion of zero inventory strategies, is now rebuilding safety stocks. Large corporations often slowed by bureaucracy, face complex internal and external shifts when restructuring supply chains, externally with supplies, internally with departmental roles. Such strategic pivots, while systems still operate, are daunting, but once decided, execution can be swift. The CCP is left clinging to the rare earth card, unable to halt supply chain restructuring. China itself faces unresolved domestic challenges, and the CCP knows this card's value diminishes with each use. How long will it take Western nations to rebuild rare earth supply chains? Or, put differently, how long can the CCP wield this card? China currently holds global supply chains hostage with rare earth, but this presents an opportunity. The value of shifting these supply chains. Pricing rare earth involves factors like global supply and demand, premiums driven by conservative governments' push for supply chain reconstruction, and the CCP's disruptive actions inflating prices, which in turn spur investment. Unlike China's chip industry, which lacks everything but capital, the West's rare earth puzzle is nearly complete, needing only capital, which can be mobilized quickly. Recent global developments show the world is testing new capacities. Mining investments follow a slow then fast trajectory, with early costs tied to exploration, planning, environmental assessment, and in democracies, lobbying. Each time the CCP tightens its grip on rare earth, it reduces political and public resistance in Western nations. The top 5 fastest growing regions are Australia, Brazil, South Africa, the United States, and Canada. Among them, the United States leads with a composite score of 2.7, followed by Australia and Saudi Arabia, both at 2.6, with Saudi Arabia's growth potential boosted by political factors. Canada follows at 2.5. Rare earth deposits are globally distributed, with rich reserves in the US, Saudi Arabia, Australia, and Canada. Since 2023, production capacity has been steadily rising. How much longer can the CCP play this card? Europe's decoupling from Russia energy offers a parallel. Before the 2022 Russia-Ukraine war, Europe relied on Russia for 40% of its natural gas, 20 to 30% of its crude oil, and 40 to 50% of its coal, with Russia as the EU's top oil supplier. Now, oil and coal dependence is in the single digits and coal reliance is effectively zero. This decoupling for a vital civilian need took 2.5 years. Rebuilding rare earth supply chains for an industrial vitamin is unlikely to be more complex, impactful, or technically challenging. Mining follows a price-driven curve. When prices double, market gaps are typically filled within 2 years, a practical ceiling. Beyond that, the price hikes yield diminishing returns on capacity growth. However, rare earth pricing is heavily influenced by the CCP's administrative monopoly, and there is less political urgency than in the EU's rush to escape Russian energy dependence. Even at a moderate pace, decoupling should take about 4 years. The CCP's rare earth chokehold began in 2023, suggesting a maximum of 2 more years until 2027. In summary, 3 key points stand out. First, rare earths are industry's vitamins, small in quantity but indispensable, with a strong price elasticity. They can be costly, but supply disruptions are unacceptable. Due to standardization challenges, direct point-to-point supply dominates. Second, the CCP's repeated use of the rare earth cards reveals an emptying toolbox, yet it accelerates political mobilization and capital investment elsewhere. Environmental costs can be quantified and geopolitical security concerns override policy hurdles. Third, the economics of industry restructuring show that when price signals align with the security imperatives, mining investments follow a slow then fast pattern. Historical data suggests a 2 to 4 years window to close supply gaps. Compared to the EU's 2.5-year energy decoupling rare earth, a smaller but a critical sector should be manageable. Combining these factors yield a timeline. Starting from 2023, the CCP's chokehold has about 2 years left. Afterward, pricing power will decentralize, supply will stabilize, and administrative monopolies will lose influence. In short, the rare earth card is a short-term deterrent, a mid-term catalyst for industry, and in the long term, it will revert to a balanced state. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit the subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my video to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, be well.